My name is Emily Ryan. I'm the Chief Client Officer at Valuize, and welcome to our Gainsight video series, where we take a deep dive into Gainsight's features and functionalities to help you successfully adopt, implement, and maximize your Gainsight investment. Today, I'll be walking you through calls to action, which is called CTA in Gainsight, and how you use timeline to benefit you when you're tracking risks. This is a feature we've optimized in many leading B2B technology companies to ensure that they are able to drive Gainsight adoption, to maximize the benefit of their Gainsight investment, and make sure that they are managing successfully risks against their client accounts. So welcome to Cockpit. This is inside of the Gainsight Next instance, and this is the global cockpit view. You can obviously see this view from the customer C360 view as well, but for ease of use, we're going to use the global view. This is dummy data from Valuize's demo instance. So we're going to start with creating a CTA, and this is our very important risk CTA. We do recommend coaching your CSMs and other team members that use Gainsight regularly to do this as a manual process. You can, of course, automate certain types of risks into your system based on the data that you have available, but we actually recommend utilizing your team to highlight risks manually as a first step, and using automation for exception-based risk CTAs. That means that if your CSM has not already flagged this as a risk, then you can automate a risk out to them. So that's another segment down the line. So I'm going to go with our dummy data. We've got a couple of records in here of customers. We're going to double check the due date. Maybe I want a little bit more time. I'm going to give myself till the end of the year. I'm the owner, and of course, this is a risk CTA. Having reasons in your risk CTA can help you with managing the understood revenue at risk inside of your accounts, as well as the themes of risk across different logos and segments. So making sure that this is a good list and that it has some clarity. We also recommend having a separate external wiki for your team members to reference when they are selecting one of these risks. So I'm going to select product risk. And then since this is my very important risk CTA, I'm going to select high. And this is a new CTA, but since I'm actively working on it, I'm going to put it into work in progress. So I'm going to leave playbook blank for now, but you can, of course, add a playbook here. So we'll save that. Some other things that you can do with these CTAs is ensure that you have a set of information like additional fields. So you could have the value roll in from the customer's revenue data. You can have a subtype. So since I selected risk and product risk, maybe you want to highlight that it is a specific product. So having an additional drop-down menu for that is great. You can do multi-pick lists if that's helpful, and even get down to the feature level. So there are some additional things that you can do to enrich the data that your team members provide for you in the CTA. All of that can then be utilized down the line for other reporting. So as a CSM, perhaps I want to add some tasks manually. I understand that I need to call senior stakeholder, and perhaps I want to make sure that that call happens before the second. Again, this is high priority for me, and that's an open one. Senior stakeholder name is da-da-da. So I can manage my CTAs this way. Of course, this is a little bit cumbersome and can lead to just some heft putting all these tasks in this way. Another thing that you can do, of course, is either apply a playbook from either the add task or the three dots. And this will allow us to understand a couple of things that are out of the box that are recommended by the business for the team member to take action on. So we're going to go ahead and apply that playbook in addition to the task that I put for myself to give me just some more options to check through. And as a team member, obviously I've got this schedule call with admin or power user to identify a reason for this drop. I'm also calling the senior stakeholder. So if I wanted to delete any of these or augment them with more information, I certainly can do that inside of the call to action task itself. What we really recommend, though, is leveraging these risk CTAs through timeline. So let's imagine it's the future, and I'm having that call with the senior stakeholder. Call with senior stakeholder to assess risk. I can put the senior stakeholder in here. So if I don't know who we've got in our contacts. So let's say that it's this guy is our senior stakeholder. He and I are on this call together. And I can, of course, format this and find the risk identified by, spelling is important. I can say product at risk is, I can say person to contact later is, etc. Right? So I'm taking notes while I'm on my call with this senior stakeholder. And while I'm on the call with this senior stakeholder, I, of course, can start updating tasks for myself for later. So I know that I need to reach out and introduce Joe to Sam. And I want to do that by the week following. And so when I add this task, I've created a lot of efficiency here. Not only do I have a timeline activity that has that entire call on it, I can put the subject line in there. And I can say exactly when the call happened. Ooh, that's a really early call. Let's not do it then. I can say that it's, it was a 90-minute call. It was a long one. And I can associate other items in here. You can also use this field set to provide additional metadata as well that is easier to report on. And so I've got one outreach, and then maybe I've got send usage reports to Joe. And I want to do that right away, so same day. All right, so now I've got a lot of valuable information in here. I'm going to log that as an activity. So I had this call. If I wanted to, I can send this straight to Joe to tell him, hey, we had a call. This was our notes. These are my next steps. This is all the stuff that we had. Remember that these data might not all be customer facing, so you'll want to encourage your team to clean this up as it makes sense to. But I can send that straight to Joe right away, straight from the timeline inside of my CTA. I can also mention my manager. So let's say I've got Matthew, he's my manager. I updated our record to reflect current risk. What else do you recommend at this point? So by tagging my manager in this comment, he is going to receive an email from me with this comment in it and all of the data associated with this timeline activity. It will also conveniently link back to this very important risk CTA. So all of this connectivity creates a lot of efficiency for me as a CSM. It creates efficiency for my manager in that they can see these things pop up in their inbox, and it creates efficiency for me with my contact that I can just send this right out of the timeline view straight to my contact after the call is complete. And so having this dual usage where you are using the activity timeline to not only take notes on the call, but to follow up with your customer with those call notes, and to have your tasks in here, I'll show you where those go in just a moment, and to @mention your manager or internal team members to keep everyone up to date. Lots of efficiency here. And so like magic, you'll notice that I've got the check adoption usage and analytics, send usage reports to Joe. So this was actually part of my playbook, whereas this one is a follow-up from that call I just had. And then we also have the reach out and introduce Joe to Sam, which is on here as well. And so if I say I've called my senior stakeholder, maybe I sent those usage reports to Joe, I checked that adoption usage and analytics, we can go back to that timeline entry and we can also see what I just did. So again, a lot of symbiotic stuff is happening in here, which makes it very easy for me as a CSM to manage my risks right in Cockpit. And you'll notice we do have these CTAs grouped by the time that they are due, but we can also group these by the actual company that I am working with. And so if I have 15 accounts, I might be able to hop right into Cockpit, see all of my accounts and all of the CTAs grouped together here. And this is going to help me manage my day, manage my risks, and help my manager see what's happening here. As a final, and we'll go into this in a new video that you'll see coming soon, is the ability to star these risks, to surface them on dashboards for your manager so that they can elevate them during management calls. So again, all of this great information, all of your activity against that risk all in one place, all of your timeline outreach all in one place, the ability to maximize efficiency by sharing those notes directly with your meeting participants via email, the ability to manage and update outstanding follow-up tasks, and the ability to @mention your colleagues makes this the perfect out-of-the-box functionality from Gainsight. Gainsight's CTA feature is highly valuable if used thoughtfully. By integrating all of the functionality such as timeline, task management, playbooks, and the email from timeline feature inside of each CTA, you collect all of that data against how that risk was managed over time and are able to communicate and collaborate within that package. A lot of the time we see clients use timeline directly, or we see kind of an anemic use of CTAs or CTA fatigue, where you've got too much automation. And so by using these manual steps, these supportive methodologies, you can really maximize the adoption and give value to your CSMs and to your Gainsight users. So if you have any questions about this feature or want to learn more, check out the resources section of the Valuize website, or you can contact our team of customer lifecycle and Gainsight experts. Keep an eye out for our next video, where we'll be sharing an in-depth look into reporting and dashboards. Thank you.